SAS soldiers have shot dead a three-man IRA gang in the Tyrone village of Coagh. The IRA have confirmed they were on what they call active service. It appears the undercover soldiers were acting on intelligence and were lying in wait when the gang drove into the village in a stolen car. The men died in a hail of gunfire, but precise details are still unclear. Sinn Féin has accused the security forces of a shoot-to-kill policy. The DUP leader, the Reverend Ian Paisley, says this is an example of what the security forces can do and that it is now time for a war to the death against the IRA.
It was 7:30 this morning when the peace of the village of Coagh was shattered by what locals described as up to 10 minutes of rapid gunfire. It ended when the Vauxhall Cavalier with the 3 IRA men inside burst into flames as it crashed into a parked car outside the home of the local vet. Closer inspection shows a fusillade of bullets which peppered the side of the car. The bodies of 2 of the men lie partially outside, covered by a tarpaulin. All 3 have been burnt beyond recognition. A balaclava lies in the roadway. Police say 2 rifles were recovered at the scene. Pensioner Elsie McElree, out for an early morning stroll with her dog, found the violent scene unfolding right around her.
Oh, well, I just heard shooting, that was all. I heard shooting was coming at the bridge.
And what did you see around you?
I just saw a lorry, but I looked in, but there was no one up. And then...
Was that the red lorry?
Yes, the red lorry.
Where were the soldiers at this stage?
They must have been behind that lorry. And I only saw one soldier, and then I saw the police up the top of the road.
Was there a lot of shooting?
No, just 2 or 3 bangs. A loud one.
You were quite lucky then.
I was, mind you, I was indeed.
The shooting happened at the lower end of the village, where a group of Protestant workmen gather at that time each morning to wait for a lift to work. There's no doubt that they were the terrorists' intended targets. The scene is only yards from the garage where 3 Protestants were gunned down by the IRA in March 1989. The owner, Leslie Dallett, and 2 friends, Ernie Rankin and Austin Nelson, were shot dead in that attack. Local Sinn Féin councillor Sean Begley today, representing the families of the 3 dead IRA men, tussled with police who refused to let him up to examine the scene. He accused the security forces of using unreasonable force and of covering up the facts. He was eventually arrested and driven away. The dead men were Lawrence McNally, aged 39, married with a daughter, from Ballinderry outside Coagh. His brother Phelim was shot dead 2 years ago when loyalists went to kill a 3rd brother, Cookstown Sinn Féin councillor Francie McNally. 37-year-old Peter Ryan, who'd been on the run for 10 years since escaping from Crumlin Road jail. His cousin was shot dead by loyalists at a bar at nearby Washing Bay 2 years ago. And Tony Doris, a 21-year-old single man from Coal Island, a cousin of a Dungannon Sinn Féin councillor. The MP for the area was quickly on the scene this morning.
Terrorists were on their way to do murder. I'm thankful, very thankful, that the terrorists have received their just reward and that innocent life has been spared. And anyone who comes out to condemn the activity of the security forces today have no consideration or thought or heart for the innocent of Ulster.
Mr McRae said this was an example of what the security forces could do when their hands were untied, and called for a military rather than a political strategy. A call rejected by the Catholic Primate of Ireland, but strongly condoned by Mr McRae's party leader.
It shows that the government have the resources. It shows that they have the intelligence. It shows they have the manpower. And it shows they're capable of defeating the Irish Republican Army menace. And they have got to continue to do that. And I hope that this type of thing will gather momentum and that inside a month we will see such a force of attrition with the IRA that the menace will be stopped in its tracks. And I think that the time has now come for a full-out war to the death against the IRA and all its works.
That is not the answer. That is not the problem. The problem is not one of a total community in conflict with another total community. It's not one that can be met by military means. There is no military way of overcoming paramilitary violence. And any security policy that would lead to, as it inevitably would, to heavy harassment of one community will not succeed. It will play into the hands of the terrorists on either side.
I think what is obvious is that the IRA and others are seeing the difficulties that the political process is having at the present moment of time as their opportunity. What I think they're trying to do is either frighten people within the Northern Irish political community or to make it more difficult to proceed towards proper negotiations. I hope all parties have sufficient will and commitment to ensure that that won't happen.